coming to you from North Atlanta studios and brought to you by Mesmerize Media. It's the Advantage of Adversity podcast. And now, here's your host, Glenn Carver.
Hello, my name is Glenn Carver, and I am your host for the Advantage of Adversity podcast, coming to you from the podcast studio at Mesmerize Media in North Atlanta. And as you know, or may not know, the mission of this podcast is to highlight and showcase stories of amazing people who have experienced significant adversity in their personal and maybe even their professional lives. And in spite of that adversity, they have chosen to move through the adversity and find the opportunity, maybe even the advantage in the adversity. Today, we have a very special guest, Andrew Robinson. He is a Marine combat veteran. He is a capital market analyst for Academy Securities, which is a disabled, veteran-owned investment bank. Sounds pretty cool to the finance major here, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. In 2004, Andrew was deployed to Iraq, and in 2006, specifically June 20th of 2006, his life was changed forever. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Hey, Glenn. Thanks for having me on the show. Appreciate it.
Great to have you here. Thank you for being a guest on the Advantage of Adversity.
Yeah. Very happy to be here. Thanks.
So, as a finance guy, capital market analyst sounds pretty sexy to me. Tell me a little bit about your company and your role within the company?
Yeah. So Academy Securities, like you said, service disabled, veteran-owned investment bank.
Okay.
We have a social mission to hire, mentor, and train military veterans.
That's fantastic.
To develop careers in finance. There's not a ton of service members, active duty service members, or military jobs where you're trading securities. So we work with a different kind of security.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
But we hire vets, and we figure there's a lot of qualities that service members have that can be very valuable in business. So we've built a firm around that. My role there, for the most part, is to develop relationships with Fortune 500 corporations,
Oh, nice.
Their treasurers, treasury teams, CFOs, and just develop a relationship and provide our services to them. So it's been there 8 years.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. It's a lot of fun. It was my first real, quote unquote, real job.
Sure. We've all had those.
And it's been a lot of fun and a great experience.
So to use an 80s term, you have a pretty good Rolodex, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun because I was there when we first started this part of the business.
Sure.
And I didn't have any finance experience before. So I took my required tests and things so that I could, work in that field. And I asked my bosses what they wanted me to do. And they said, well, we want you to get in touch with CFOs and treasurers of Fortune 500 companies. And I said, how do I do that? And they said, well, that's why we hired you to figure it out. And that
throw you in the pool.
Yeah. And if you're a new guy or gal at a big bulge bracket bank, they're not going to let you just call up Ford or Amazon or Nike.
Right.
You're not allowed to do that. You're running coffee for somebody.
Right.
So it was pretty wild to be in the finance industry a hot 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm just dialing.
Yeah, it's great.
Calling people up, but it worked out. It's great.
Well, it takes kahunas.
Mm-hmm.
You have those, my friend.
That's what we work on. So
that's awesome. Just curious, what licenses do you have, or did you have to get? What tests?
I got a 7 and a 63.
You got a 7?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now I'm jealous.
Well, that's fun.
I had a 6, 65, 63. Always aspired for the 7. Never needed it. But
I
that's a big boy test.
I got exactly a 72. So
nice.
You
didn't overstudy.
Didn't overstudy. Of course, you take them. When I took it, it's all on a computer, and it tells you your result immediately.
Yes.
But as that wheel is spinning,
yes,
it's the longest 3 seconds.
Of course it
because
is.
you're I don't want to take this stupid thing again.
No, you don't.
But it's done, and it's good.
Good for you. Kudos.
Thank you, sir.
I learned something about you.
There you are.
So speaking of you, let's go back to the beginning. You were born in New Jersey.
Yes.
What exit?
7A.
Oh, that's great.
I think I was just there a couple weeks ago, but yeah, 7A.
Yeah, you drove up there.
I did.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But you lived a portion of your life in beautiful San Diego?
Yes. After towards the end of my military service and afterwards. Spent quite a few years there.
Wow.
So it's beautiful out there.
And now you're a new resident to Woodstock, Georgia.
Yes, sir.
So from San Diego to Woodstock, that's culture shock.
It's a little bit different. It's a little bit different.
So I've got a cool little San Diego to Atlanta story. Last time I was in San Diego was 2008 for a business conference. After the conference, me and my two colleagues went into the gas lamp district, have a couple beers, hang out. It was stunning, beautiful San Diego day. And our waitress was mid-20s. She'd just gotten married. And we learned in talking to her that she and her new husband were about to move from San Diego to Marietta, Georgia, where we're sitting right now.
Right.
And I'm thinking, I asked her, what in the world would possess you to move from San Diego to Marietta, Georgia? And she said, without hesitation, the weather here is boring.
Okay.
I thought, wow. That redefined perspective for me.
I guess. There's a lot of people that I know that are like natives of Southern California and San Diego, and they can't wait to get out. And I'm like, guys, let me just tell you, you got it kind of good here. Just saying.
Yeah.
But
I think that's called the law of familiarity.
Yeah.
You're around something long enough, you tend to take it just a little bit for granted.
Well, I think everybody should have to at some point in their lives, especially their young adulthood, go live somewhere completely different.
Yeah.
If you want to move back to your hometown where you grew up and that's where your family is, I think that's great. But I think everybody should live 6 months, a year, somewhere completely different.
Yeah.
Because if your world's a little bit bigger, even for that short amount of time, it kind of opens up your brain to different things.
I agree.
So, of course, I was 18 and a half and living in Japan, but
that's a big step.
Kind of, but like I was in the Marine Corps. So like your life is all kind of, especially at 18 and a half, your life is all planned out day to day.
Absolutely.
So it wasn't like I was figuring out how to, exchange yen and get an apartment. I lived in the barracks, so it's different, but yeah.
Simple living, simple times. So you are a Marine. Thank you for your service, first and foremost. I have a large affection for Marines. I lived in Beaufort County, South Carolina during the 80s. I'm very familiar with Parris Island, been there, felt the gnats, the sand fleas. That's a unique spot on Earth.
Yes, it is. I chose to be there in the months of July, August, and September. Don't ask me why.
Wow. Well,
I was 17. The prefrontal cortex was not
fully developed.
No.
Well, you can check that off your list.
Done.
It's done. So let's get into, we're not sitting down today to talk about you being a capital market analyst. We're here to talk about some massive adversity that you've been through that really happened on June 20th of 2006. Correct. So let's talk about, you'd been deployed in 2004.
Right.
So did you come back, or were you in Iraq for 2 full years?
No, gosh, no. Okay. I did like a 7-month deployment in 2004.
Okay.
And then got married and then moved around, changed my job in the Marine Corps, did a bunch of training, got stationed in San Diego, California. And then in 2006, I deployed again to Iraq. Okay. And then June 20th, in 2006, June 20th was the day that I got injured. I was on a vehicle patrol. It got attacked. And that's when everything in my world changed. Yeah.
Understatement.
Yeah.
So when you say attacked, what does that mean?
So, we were on a vehicle patrol. So we all were in Humvees. And we were driving around. We knew it was a pretty dangerous intersection. That's why we were there. I worked in intelligence. I was developing intelligence sources in that area to help, get information when there were bad things there. And it just so happened that we were in that spot, and a huge roadside bomb was detonated by insurgents against my vehicle. And
the bomb was already there. You rolled over it.
Yeah,
they had visual on you, and they detonated it.
I don't know all like the specifics. I know it was buried. It was 7 155 artillery shells, which one would do quite a bit.
Sure.
And to that date, it was the largest. There's been larger ones since, but to that date, it was the largest ever used. And it was a huge hole. And it ripped the front half of the Humvee off. 3 Marines died. And I had just met them that day. They were just giving me a ride
Sure.
to go do my job. And another Marine was pretty much not affected physically by it. He was like, I was behind the driver. He was behind the passenger. But I sustained quite a bit of injuries. My legs were broken. My ribs were broken. My lungs were collapsed. Broke my neck, and the fracture in my spine is what caused quadriplegia.
Yes.
And so I've had that since 2006.
Wow. That's adversity, brother.
Yeah, it definitely was.
And I know that's, and I've been through some adversity, and my life has changed completely. But I mean, yours was in a whole different way. I mean, you fortunately, you have all your limbs.
Yep.
You just you had a spinal injury that's
right. Like I'm paralyzed, like from the chest down. I have some impairment in my hands, but no like lasting, impact to my ability to think or communicate.
Thank
or
God. No
like
cognitive
right
damage.
Right.
Yeah. So was that Humvee? I mean, those Humvees are badass. And so for that to receive a hole in it, am I ignorant?
I mean, they are. It's yes, it was a very armored Humvee. Humvees are traditionally, they're just utility vehicles.
Sure.
They were canvas skinned, and in 2004 when I was in Iraq, they were just like bolting armor plates to these canvas skinned, basically Jeeps.
Yeah.
And the armor like continues to get better. But what happens in warfare as our technology gets better and our protection gets better, their weapons get stronger and more capable of, that's how it works.
Sure, of course.
That's how war works.
Sure.
And now if you see just the regular vehicles that service members drive around in that environment, they look very much more robust than Humvees.
Yeah.
I remember seeing one in San Diego and I was like, oh, well, okay, that's a lot different. But yeah, it was definitely a huge explosion. I don't remember any of it.
That was my next question.
Yeah. Don't remember any of it.
Wow.
I remember
so knocked unconscious, obviously.
No.
I
know. This is weird.
Wow.
I was talking to people the whole time, but I just don't remember any of it.
Wow.
I don't remember the explosion. I remember driving around that day. I remember meeting the guys, getting in the truck and just going to work. And then I start to fade in and out in the hospital like a few weeks later.
Wow.
Yeah.
So next question that everybody who's going to be watching this is wondering: level of pain throughout that experience? Ton or none?
It's a weird. That's another weird thing, right? Like, so with my lungs collapsing, with my legs being broken really badly, with those things happening, I was just trying to breathe again.
Sure.
So as I start to wake up, yes, I'm in pain, but I'm also drugged, like out of my brain.
Yes.
Because I need to be. But also it's a very weird environment. You don't know where you are. You don't really, you're not, for better words, sober, because you're
right.
You have, fentanyl and morphine and all these things. You just know there's this like the mask on your face, like pushing air in, and every once in a while you start to have a memory. But yeah, there was a lot of pain as I was moving through therapy.
Sure.
And as I tried to learn how to do more things, and I heal, there's definitely pain involved, physical pain. Sure.
Any idea the time frame between the explosion and when the medic showed up? Was that had to be a lifesaver for you?
Right. Yeah. Well, there's corpsmen on patrol with us.
Okay.
And all the Marines are trained in, first aid and life-saving combat medicine. and they were immediately giving me the aid that I needed, and called for a helicopter, and they got me out of there into the next level of care in like 15 minutes.
Wow.
Which is really great.
That sounds like a short amount of time. That's impressive.
Yeah. And you know, I had a lot of surgeries right there in Iraq, and fused my spine together, did some work on my legs that were broken. And they just moved me on to the next. Then I went to Germany I think I was there for like a day, and then Bethesda for a month, and then VA hospitals for like 7 months after that.
So what level of sophistication from a surgical standpoint exists on the battlefield? Is it just in a tent?
From the outside, it looks like a tent.
Okay.
When you go inside, it looks like an emergency room.
Oh, wow.
I don't remember from my experience, but when I was in Iraq the first time, 2004, my friend got injured. Rocket hit her arm pretty bad. So I went into the medical facility there, and like I said, from the outside, it just looks like a tent.
Okay.
But you go inside and you'd swear you were that shepherd, you know. It's
that's amazing.
Combat medicine is amazing what they can do now.
It's triage to the nth degree.
Yeah.
Wow. Better than Grady Hospital.
I've never been, but it's certainly, I mean, if you look at the numbers just of people that are coming back with significant injuries, like mine versus, you know, just the amount of people that were killed in action, maybe in Vietnam, right? Like it's a huge difference.
Yeah.
And that's not because like, it's not because like the enemy isn't wanting to, you know, exact that result on American forces. It's largely because combat medicine is amazing.
Wow.
So it's really good.
Any PTSD from this experience?
I haven't had any struggles with that.
Wow.
Thankfully.
That's a blessing.
So yeah, absolutely.
I mean, any idea what percentage of wounded veterans deal with that?
No, it's hard to know, right? Because it's not really something that everybody's ready to kind of rate. It's not something that everyone realizes they're dealing with.
Yeah.
And it's also not something that everyone's really quick to raise their hand and say, hey, like I have a problem here with this. Yeah. Thankfully, over the years, a lot of the stigma has been removed from that. But even still, it's definitely challenging for military service members and veterans to kind of admit that they might need help in those ways.
Sure.
But I've never struggled with that. And I am very grateful for that.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
You and your family.
Yes.
Speaking of your family, obviously for Andrew Robinson, there was life before June 20th, 2006 and life after.
Yes.
Your life is probably in those two big chapters.
Right.
What's it been like since then? How have you dealt with this emotionally? How's your wife dealt with this emotionally? What are I heard you speak recently. You said some very wise things that I want to talk about, but what have been some of the big hurdles that you've cleared emotionally as a man?
Yeah. I mean, one of the largest hurdles was I was 22, 23 when this happened, 23. And I was a Marine, and a lot of my identity was in the fact that I was a Marine.
Absolutely.
And I did this job and had this camaraderie. But it's a very physically active job, right?
Sure.
You're kicking indoors, you're doing all sorts of things. And to be doing that one day, and then your next kind of cognitive, conscious observation is that you're probably not going to be doing that again.
That life is over.
That's a big change. So that was, you know, but at the same time, I was dealing with a lot of other things as I came to that realization and observation and consciousness. I'm trying to breathe again.
Sure.
You know, I'm trying to have my legs heal so that I had, you know, how when you see people with like halos on those metal halos.
Absolutely. Of course.
Yeah, I had 4 of those on both of my legs.
So your legs were shattered.
They were bad.
Oh,
So I'm just like trying
you're
to get
lucky
them
you
to
still have them.
heal,
They
and
weren't amputated, or
trying to get them to heal. I'm trying to do therapy so that I can, figure out how to move about the world. So I had those immediate things to focus on, as I was coming to the realization that, like, oh, you're not going to be doing the job you thought you were going to be doing for quite a while longer. That life is going to be a lot different now.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like baby steps because I had those other things I had to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was so jacked up that it wasn't just like, not that anyone's like injury or spinal cord injury is easy, but if your legs aren't shattered in a billion places, right, and your lungs aren't collapsed, you can more quickly focus on just the rehab and get done and get out.
Yeah.
Some people get spinal cord injuries and they're in the hospital for like 2 months.
Wow.
And then not even, maybe a month, and they're out. That wasn't my path, right? So I had quite an adjustment period,
Sure,
to kind of get it all together and start to figure it out.
Wow. What helped you figure it out? Therapy, or just being mentally tough?
I think a lot.
Awesome wife,
Yeah.
all the above.
All, yeah. I mean, I had an amazing support network in my wife, in my family, that was also able to come down and be around me in the beginning parts of my rehab. But yeah, my wife is amazing.
What's her name?
Sarah.
Sarah. That's right.
And
Sarah, no H.
No H. And but no, she's always been a great friend, great ally, great supporter, great partner.
Yeah.
I've
got one too.
Having that has definitely, I can't even begin to imagine, what it would have been like if I didn't have that.
Amen, brother.
But if I didn't have her, but also being around other service members that were going through similar things, and meeting service members who had gone through similar things and developed a life after their injuries. So those things also, those kind of gave me perspective to appreciate, and also to see that it'll be okay. Like, there's other people that have done this, and I can do it too.
And you're here to give it a shot.
Yeah.
You're still here to give it a shot.
Yep.
As you said, you're on bonus day 7,000.
Coming up on 7,000 bonus days, extra credit days.
I love that. I love that philosophy.
I mean, there's the 3 Marines that died in the truck. They would love to have a really, really bad day.
Yeah.
You and I have a bad day.
Yeah.
And we have that luxury.
Yes.
Some people don't.
Yes.
Right. And so that's definitely another kind of perspective thing that helps me move forward.
Absolutely. No, if I've learned anything over the past 21 months going through what I've been through, it's that when you have a major life change or a major loss, it's imperative to focus on not what you've lost, but what you still have,
right?
What you've gained. Because there's always, it's the whole point of this show, Andrew, there's always opportunity and advantage in adversity.
Yes.
Now, you said something when I heard you speak recently that I just resonated at my absolute core. And I said, I heard our stories are a lot alike, different circumstance,
right?
But a lot alike. You said, you've got to give yourself grace and let go of what you can't control. And when I was in the ICU for 96 days, that was my nurse's mantra. They'd always say, when I was a rag doll from atrophy, I'm 60 pounds lighter than I was going into the hospital, when I couldn't sit up or roll over by myself, and I was effectively paralyzed from the waist down.
Right.
I was a rag doll. They would say, Glenn, give yourself grace.
Yeah.
Give yourself grace. So is that something somebody told you, or did you come to that mindset on your own?
I think I think I came to it on my own. I don't remember someone telling me that. But, as I moved through this kind of journey that would be my life now, there have been very tough times. But, overall, like net, like we're doing okay.
Yeah.
Right. So all things considered, when I have a bad day or if I'm pissed off or,
you have those?
Once in a while.
Okay.
Yes.
You mean you're human? You're not?
I'm allowed to.
Sure.
Right. I allow myself to.
Good for you.
Because overall, I'm a pretty tenacious guy.
Sure.
And I can move through things, and it's all right to have it all kind of build up sometimes.
Yeah.
Right. And be too much.
Sure.
And have it kind of, but recognize it. If I am angry, I try to process it and not let it kind of create collateral damage on those around me. Right.
Good for you. Because that's easy to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Doesn't work all the time.
Well, at least you're aware of it.
Yeah. Working on it.
You're alive to be aware of it.
Yeah. But yeah, just give yourself grace, man. Like, you're human. You're allowed to be, struggling sometimes, whether it's an hour or a day or a week.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you're broken or you're failing. Gosh, no.
Yeah. So human.
Yeah.
We could end right there. That's so powerful, but we're not.
Okay.
We have more.
Let's keep going.
Something else you said that was very wise. You have chosen in this adversity that you've been through, you've chosen to find joy in your life without the ability to walk.
Right.
That's a big boy decision. I commend you. I commend you for that.
That was something early on because I spent so long at different hospitals. And I spent time there because, again, my legs were still trying to heal. That's what made me stay in the hospital for 7 months, not my spinal cord injury. But as I was there, and I'm trying to gain more function in my arms and try to do different things, right, to heal as much as I can from a spinal cord injury. But in that time, I saw some service members and some veterans at that point that were really fixated on, well, I need to fix this.
Yeah.
I need to fix my body. I need to walk again. I need to stand again. I need to regain these functions. And it's great to have lofty goals and dreams. It is. And I'm sure there are some people that have sustained spinal cord injuries, and through some really great medicine and some really great therapy and really great hard work and some circumstances of their specific injury, they've been able to regain a ton. But I got to the point where I realized that it might not happen for me. This is also just kind of a science thing, right? It's a physiology thing. It's just biology. It's just, it's math. It is science. It's what it is. Right. So I shouldn't really put all my eggs in the basket of, I'm going to walk again. I'm going to, and that's how I'll be happy, because I saw some people kind of fixate on that, and they never really stopped pursuing that, even for years. And it kind of consumes them. And I'm like, I mean, maybe that's for you. That's not for me.
Yeah.
That's not what I want for my life. That's not what my wife wants for her life, or what we want for our lives.
Yes.
So then it was, well, how do we go about the business of building a life this way? So then we did that.
And what have you focused on in building this life? Are there any core values that you hold near and dear to your heart with Sarah?
I think, we don't really have stated core values, but just trying to live our best life, right? Experience joy, pursue joy. What needs do we have that we need to go figure out how to get met? It's our responsibility. It's nobody else's.
Yeah.
How can we add value to others?
That's great.
And how do we build a life? What do you want it to look like?
Yeah.
What do you want your purpose to be?
Those
type of things. Same things everyone's asking themselves.
Yeah, sure.
Just mine comes with the caveat of, on June 19th, I thought it was going to be this.
Sure.
On June 20 plus, it was going to be something else. So what was that going to look like?
Right.
So that's, for us, that was staying in San Diego at first and kind of learning how to live life, just my wife and myself. And then we moved back to New Jersey to be closer to family because we wanted to, not because we needed to be near them, but because we wanted to. I decided to go back to college. I got the job that I have now in finance. And just keep moving forward, and kids and house and, all those things. Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah.
I've had this on for 2 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah. 21 months.
There's a saying in the military too, FIDO. It's an acronym.
Okay.
Fuck it, drive on.
Love it.
So
love it.
There's that.
Okay. That's going to be my next one.
Yeah. So that type of stuff.
Fantastic.
All right. Keep going.
Yeah. Keep going. Push on.
Yeah.
FIDO. Love it. So I've mentioned you that one of my dearest friends on earth lives in a chair. So I'm extremely familiar with life in a chair.
Right.
What in your daily life, from the time you wake up till the time you go to bed, activity, dailies of living, what can you do? You seem pretty mobile and self-sufficient. You can drive. You drove over here.
Right.
What can you do and what can you not do?
I usually have help in the morning, just with just morning stuff, getting ready for the day, getting to the shower, stuff like that, getting dressed. But I mean, other than that, I can eat, I can survive, I can move throughout my day.
Yeah.
Like you said, I can drive. I travel, not by myself, but usually with someone. But yeah, I like to, I'm in my chair all day. I don't really do some people can transfer.
Sure.
I can't really do that so great. So I don't, because I don't like falling on the floor either.
No, that's suboptimal.
So I'm in my chair all day. So I go to bed kind of early.
Okay.
But just
what's early for you?
But like 9 or 9:30. But my wife and I, we kick it and watch TV.
Okay.
But that's the first chance I get to get out of my chair.
All right.
So that's nice to stop being in this single position for the day.
Can you feel your butt? Do you get butt sore?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel
just curious.
I feel my legs. So yeah, sometimes it's just I'm ready to get out of this thing for a few hours. So
yeah.
But yeah, other than that, my life is pretty normal, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good. Had to ask the butt question because when I was in a bed in the ICU for 96 days, I would sink. It sucked. I would sink into a hole. It'd slide down. My butt would sink into a hole, and having the nurses come in and pull me up was one of the great experiences in life.
It's definitely
take the pressure off.
Take the pressure. Yeah.
Tell me about your wife Sarah must be a champion. Tell me about Sarah and how how has all this affected her life?
Great. I mean, it's been her life, right? She was 21 when this happened.
Oh wow.
So I'm 40 now. She's 38. So when you think back, when you're 21, you don't think, oh my God, I'm a baby, right?
Yeah.
But you are when you look back later, you're like, oh, okay.
I still might be one.
Yeah. And hopefully we all are, right?
Yes.
And then we'll all be uploaded to the AI platform and we'll live forever.
There you go.
But no, I mean, this has been her life, and it's she's been with me more years than she's been not my partner.
Yes.
I have a couple more before I kind of reach that fulcrum point, and then a few years after that will be, I'll have lived with this body and this disability longer than I've lived without. Wow. And the same for her.
Yes.
So that's
a tipping point,
but that's around the corner. That's we're talking 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Because there's a finite time, right?
Sure.
So, but she's a very compassionate person. She's a very giving person. She's got a very, just wants to help people, not just me, but just people in general.
She's your angel.
She'll offer to help other, she'll think of things to go and help. Oh, I'm going to go help this person I'm like, oh, they asked you to do? She's like, no. I'm like, okay, because I mean, I wouldn't say like I'm a selfish guy, but I don't kind of work. I don't work that way. I'm like, oh, let me just think of this thing that this neighbor might want me to help with. Oh, she's just kind of like that.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
But yeah, I mean, she's great. And she gives me grace when I'm struggling and
Yes.
might be struggling to give myself grace. Sometimes she struggles to give herself that same grace. So I try to encourage her in that way. But we have our better days, our not so great days. But she's been there every single one of them. So
that's fantastic.
yeah.
Well, tell her Lisa says hello.
All right.
That's my wife's name. And if you and I had a beer or a bourbon right now, we'd toast to our wives.
Cheers. Yes.
Cheers
absolutely.
to our wonderful, amazing wives and partners and advocates and all the other labels you want to heap on top of that.
Yep.
Well, this has been fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. You've been through it, brother. And I'm amazed with your attitude, with your perspective. I admire you. I feel like our stories have a lot of parallels. Yours has been rougher.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm staring stage 4 cancer in the eyeballs right now and saying, I'm kicking your ass.
Right.
You're kicking a different ass.
Right.
So I admire that.
Thanks, man.
I really, really do.
I admire yours as well. And it's just, it's like, it's not about like what happens to you, right? It's about your reaction.
Yes.
Right. It's about what you do next.
Yes.
So that's just kind of what life is. And we've just kind of learned it in a very out loud way.
Yes.
Right. Other people kind of hopefully learn it in more subtle ways.
Yes.
And that can be challenging in and of itself.
Yes.
But we've had that conversation with life very loudly. So, but yeah, but I love sharing my story with you, and I hope that, it touches some folks and helps them, and that would be great.
I have no doubt that it will.
Great.
You're a champion. I appreciate you, and thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Great value here. Well, folks, another fantastic conversation with another champion who has experienced significant adversity in his life, and he's made the decision, the choice to move through it and find the opportunity, and maybe even, like I say, the advantage in the adversity. So thanks for sharing. If you like this content, please share it with somebody you love who may be of benefit. Consider subscribing. And coming to you here from the podcast studio at Mesmerize Media in North Atlanta. Signing off, Glenn Carver with Andrew Robinson.
Thanks.